It is a thing, baby. OVS. It is a thing, baby. OVS. It is a thing, baby. OVS. It is a thing, baby.
My name is Samson Akinshade, CEO of OVS Inc. I want to thank you for taking the time to click this link and watch this video. So I know when you saw this, you probably thought that you was going to see like another performance by an artist or a church that I set up at. This time around, I wanted to do something a little different. So a lot of people have asked me, how do I get the talking drum, omele, pretty much all the African drums and drums, keyboards, pretty much my whole mix. How do I get all of that to sound the way it does and then put it on my video and post it online? Because getting sound from a mixer onto a camera or whatever, however you're trying to record whatever you're recording, is hard. So I decided to make this video to show you how I do certain instruments to make them sound the way they do. So this video is really just to help those who don't know how to balance or sound check certain instruments, in particularly talking drum, the omele drum, the bata, yalu, the sakara, pretty much any African drum you can think of. That's pretty much the purpose of this video, is to help you to show you how to sound check these instruments. So today's video will be in particularly about the talking drum. And to help us with how I sound check talking drum at my shows and churches is the one and only Sambe Bayo of Sambe Entertainment.
This your boy Sambe here. I'm over here just helping OVS, and yeah, we about to get into it.
I appreciate you, Sambe. So yeah, before we get started with the balancing, I'm gonna show you the instrument, the things that I use to balance talking drum, which some of them are very, very recommended. You don't have to use the same ones, but at least something similar would work. So let me show you those things. All right, so these are the two items that I use to balance talking drum at every show or every gig that I have. Anywhere that OVS sets, these two things are here. We have our Behringer Ultra Bass BX 4500, and we have our Sennheiser E845S. Obviously, the S is for the switch, so you don't have to keep muting talking drum. You just hit the switch. So, yeah, I recommend using a bass head to pre-mix your talking drum. It's, to me, from experience, as long as I've been doing it, I haven't been engineering long, but for as long as I've been at show, usually it sounds much better when you pre-mix it with a bass head. Some people use 32 band EQ. That also works as well, but I personally prefer a bass head, and in particular, this Ultra Bass BX 4500 by Behringer. See where your gain is, bass, low, mids. I cut out mids. I never use mids for talking drum. Mids is the worst thing you can do to a talking drum. If you add mid to a talking drummer, you must not like him, because you're not going to allow him to sound good. So cut out mids completely. High mids is good, not too much low mids. It will help the sound. But this bass head in particular, it has a deep and a bright button, pretty much meaning it boosts the bass and the highs. And there's a shape button as well. I always use it. If you use it without, it's still okay, but I feel like it just cleans it up somehow using the shape, keeping it at 12. Outside of 12, you would not like it. And what is that? The limit or the output? Sorry, I don't use it because I don't use a speaker. I don't use it with a cabinet. I literally just take this Behringer straight to my mixer. And like I said, this is the microphone that I use. I don't use any other microphone for talking drum. Yeah, to me, it sounds the best to me. Every engineer is different, so every engineer would have their own preference to how they would want to pre-mix talking drum. But like I said, this is what I use. I don't recommend that you copy these settings exactly. This is with the drum that Sambe is using today. This is the mix for that particular drum. Every drum is different, but if you really want the best sound, make sure the talking drummer brings a good drum to balance with. Don't bring a trash drum and expect it to sound heavenly. It's not possible. But yeah, so let's move on to the mixer so I can show you how I balance talking drum. Before I show you how to balance it with the pre-mix and with the microphone I'm going to be using, I'm going to show you how I would do it if I did not have my bass head with me at a show or at a church. And because we're using a digital mixer, I mean, I'm able to use like an EQ, a built-in EQ, to help balance it. So that's what I'm going to do. So after we do that, I'm going to show you how I balance it with my pre-mix. So all right, let's get started. Okay, Sambe, you can start playing. Let me reset this. Okay, so you're hearing Sambe from the bleed in my mic that I'm using. So I'm going to raise his gain, so we should start hearing him. Okay, so this is talking drum with no EQ on. The only thing that this talking drum is using right now is the 32 band EQ built into this digital mixer. Now, if we were using an analog, we would not be able to do this. But because we're using a digital, we are. So first thing first, we're going to EQ it on the 32 band EQ. So first thing first, I never use mid in talking drum. So just listen to that. Mid, the type of mid I'm talking about is between 500 hertz to 1,000 kilohertz. Now just listen to the change. Let me put it back. All right? Now listen to this. Already, it's clean. Just by doing that alone, right? So from there, what else? I can take out that. So talking drum, you can even with this mixer, it shows you exactly the frequencies where talking drum is really showing. See those, not low, but right before the low end zones are around 160, 200, 125. So you could raise those. Let's see, you can raise 160 a little bit, but you don't want to raise it too much. Let me see, let me cut this out. Let's see, give it some. Right, this is just the pre-mix. So it's not the actual, just to give us a decent sound when we take it to the actual 4-band EQ on the mixer. So, like I said, this is without using my bass head that I normally use. And because we're using a digital mixer, for a pre-mix, I think this is okay. This is pretty okay for a pre-mix. So let's go to our 4-band EQ. Let's activate the EQ. So I mean, because we use the 32-band EQ on the built-in EQ in the mixer, it sounds pretty good. So from here we can just do a little bit more tweaking. Let's give it some more highs for the attack. Right. So as you can see, because of the pre-mix we did on the EQ, everything in the mids, if you're looking at the EQ, is gone. So all we're hearing is the exact tones that we need for talking drum. So you gave it some highs. You can even give it some lows as well. So give it more bottom. So yeah, that's pretty much how I would do it if I did not have my Behringer bass head to balance talking drum. The next thing we would do is to check the input gain, the level on the LED. So right now it's at a decent place, but we're gonna ask Sanbe to play a little harder so we can get a higher velocity. Truthfully, I like it exactly where it is. If you notice, it's only on the low ends that it hits that clip. Normally, they'll say anything that clips, it's not good. But constant clipping is very bad. If it clips once in a while, it's okay. Quote OVS on that statement. It is okay once in a while in regards to African drums, especially what we're doing now, talking drum. It is okay for it to clip once in a while. If you're watching the screen, most of its inputs are around 6 or -4, -6, -8. But the low ends is what really gives it makes it go to the clip. But he's not gonna play like that the whole show. You get what I'm saying? So at least at this velocity right now, if we were at a show or at a church right now, I probably would dial the gain back a little bit. But with what he's doing right now, where he's, the velocity he's using right now, we're okay. So yeah, pretty much this is how I would balance the talking drum without my Behringer bass head. So now I'm going to show you how I would do it with my Behringer bass head. Okay, so now I'm about to show you how I balance talking drum with my Behringer bass head. All right, Samba, you can just start playing. Okay, right now you're hearing Sanbe in the bleed into my mic. So I'm about to raise his gain. You should be hearing him. Okay, so this is no EQ without me doing anything right off the bat. Because on the Behringer bass head, I've already reduced the mid. I've given it 12 o'clock high mid. The highs is at like 3 o'clock. My low mid is at 12. My lows is at like 3 o'clock. And I also use my shape. I keep my shape at 12 on the Behringer. So like anything from this point, honestly, to me, is just overkill. I'd even normally at show, I would also, after I put it on use my Behringer, I would also use the internal EQ as well, right? With that, and then I also still have my 4-band EQ. So like I can make talking drums sound crazy. You get what I'm saying? So this is why I say right off the bat, without even finishing doing anything right now, using a bass head, a pre-mix makes a lot of sense if you want your talking drum to sound amazing. So let's keep going. So we're done. I've already set up the pre-mix. So now I'm not even going to use the internal EQ because there's no need. At this point, I can just boost certain things. Like we can give it more highs. Let's activate the EQ. Right? See how some of those mids are still trying to come in? I can use my EQ to take it out completely. So now we can go to the low ends and give it some more body. Wow, so we can go to that 160 that we saw earlier. right now. After we balance it, we now watch the input gain. I think this sounds pretty good to me. Let's give it some more high mid. All right, I really think this sounds way better with it than without. So like I said, I recommend using the Behringer Ultra Bass BX 4500H. To me personally, I think it's the best one to use for talking drum. You can also use PV, Ampeg, whichever one you can get, but I just recommend using a premix or a bass head in particular to premix your talking drum. You can use EQs. I know talking drummers take their EQs with them to every show, everywhere they go. That works as well. But always use a premix. And also use certain microphones. For example, the Sennheiser microphone that I showed earlier. That mic is very good. There's other mics that other people use as well. Don't just, you can use the SM58, but I prefer my Sennheiser because it gives me what I want out of talking drum. So that's pretty much how I would balance the talking drum with the Behringer. Honestly, it could sound even a lot better if I use the internal EQ like I normally do as well. But honestly, from what I'm hearing, what we're hearing, I don't think there's any need at this point. I would literally just send this to the talking drummer's monitor and he would be okay. Yeah, so this is how I would balance talking drum with and without a premix. All right. So pretty much that's how I balance talking drum. I want to believe that we all can agree that it definitely sounds a lot better with the EQ off and with it on, with all the changes that I made. We want to thank Sambe for helping us out today. Sambe, you have anything to say to the people?
Yeah, so I want y'all to go ahead and follow OVS on all his platforms. If anybody needs sound reinforcements, go ahead and holler at him. He's going to give you an affordable price. By God's grace. He likes money. But we'll work on that and keep it moving. OVS. Up OVS.
All right. Appreciate you, Sambe. So, like I said, this video is just the beginning of others to come. In the comments, leave any other instruments you want me to show you how to sound check or balance. I'm here to help. I mean, this information is for the world, it's not just for me. Let's all be great, Like, subscribe, share. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.
It is a Gan Gan, OVS. It is a Gan Gan, OVS. It is a Gan Gan, OVS.